Hello, South Africa, and welcome to Daily Insight, your trusted source for the latest on politics, crime, and current affairs. I'm your host, and today we're diving into a story that has been making waves both in mainstream media and across social platforms. There's a sudden, coordinated set of narratives targeting General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He's being painted as corrupt, lawless, and even unworthy of his reputation as a so-called top cop. But when you scratch beneath the surface, what you find is not solid evidence, but rather a web of claims, contradictions, and suspicions that look a lot like a smear campaign. We'll unpack these narratives one by one, look at the people behind them, examine what's at stake, and try to answer the real question. Why is General Mkhwanazi suddenly under attack? And why now? Stick with me, because by the end of this discussion, the picture will be much clearer. Let's begin with the basics. Over the past few weeks, multiple negative stories about General Mkhwanazi have appeared, all at once. They didn't trickle in slowly. They didn't emerge organically over time. Instead, they seemed to drop on the very same day, like a coordinated effort to discredit him in the public eye. The criticisms cover a range of accusations. Some say the political killings task team, which Mkhwanazi leads, operates outside the law. Others claim that the task team is misusing public funds, describing it as a slush fund, and still others insist that key case dockets aren't safe in the hands of investigators who compiled them, suggesting that the ongoing commission of inquiry into political killings cannot function properly under these circumstances. Now, when you put all of this together, it looks less like investigative journalism and more like propaganda. It's noise, it's distraction, and importantly, none of it is backed by hard evidence. Let's examine each claim more closely. First, the allegation that the task team operates like a law unto itself. This kind of language is vague and designed to provoke outrage without actually saying anything specific. If a task team is breaking the law, where's the evidence? Where are the court cases? Where are the disciplinary actions? None have been presented. Second, the slush fund claim. This one's particularly interesting. Critics have suggested that money meant for investigations is being misused, but when pressed for examples, they can't point to a single flashy car, overseas trip, or five-star hotel bill. In other words, there's no proof that funds are being stolen or wasted. It's a narrative built entirely on insinuation. Third, the idea that dockets are not safe because investigators who compiled them still hold them. This is another argument that sounds serious until you actually think about it. Of course, the investigators who built the cases are still handling them. They're the ones with the knowledge, the background, and the details needed to see the process through. Yet critics frame this as a threat to justice, ignoring the fact that these very same investigations were previously halted because accused individuals were complaining of harassment. So what's really happening here? It looks like people implicated in those very dockets are panicking and pushing narratives to discredit the investigations before they go any further. And then we have Paul O'Sullivan. On the 6th of July, the very day General Mkhwanazi made his announcement about the reopened dockets, O'Sullivan immediately went on record calling Mkhwanazi a criminal. He also labeled National Commissioner Masemola a criminal. But here's the kicker. He offered no proof. None. No evidence. No references. Just his word. His argument essentially boiled down to, "Trust me, I said it, so it must be true." Here's what he had to say.
Both Mkhwanazi and Masemola joined a police supplier on an overseas trip, and the pair of them came back with, what do you call it, Louis Vuitton. It's a very expensive ladies' handbag. And the pair of them came back with a gift from the police supplier, being a Louis Vuitton handbag. And from what I can gather, neither of them disclosed at customs the fact that they had in their possession a gift worth somewhere between 70 and 100,000 rand each. And then what did they do? They probably gave these bags to their wives. And he makes a lot of allegations in that press conference. And although he only made those allegations at midday today, I've had an opportunity to go through them. And some of them, the ones that I have been able to go through and ascertain, I'm satisfied that they're false allegations.
Back, you said that even though it's been a few short hours, you managed to go back and look at some of what Mkhwanazi presented to the public today, and you have established that some of those are false allegations. Just enumerate for us, Paul, which ones you say, even just with a quick investigation, do not stand up to scrutiny.
Well, there's a number of them, and I don't think I want to go into them. And the reason why I don't want to go into them is because Mkhwanazi has acted unlawfully.
This is classic appeal to authority rhetoric, where someone expects their reputation to carry weight in place of actual facts, but reputations are not evidence. Next, let's talk about Kenny Kun. Out of nowhere, Kun published a story claiming that Mkhwanazi's task team kidnapped and abused the niece of a man named Katiso Molefe. This is an explosive allegation: torture, kidnapping, abuse. And according to Kun, there was even a medical report and a police case linked to the story. But when you dig deeper, the cracks appear. The testimony came only in the form of a voice recording. No visuals, no face, no verifiable proof. And here's where things get even stranger. Kun was actually present at Molefe's property on the day of his arrest. That alone raises eyebrows. Why was he there? He claims he was simply accompanying a journalist. He also claims police checked his phone. But still, the optics are troubling. Kun had promised an exclusive interview with Molefe. But that never happened. No article, no photos, no footage, nothing. Think about that. A journalist at the scene of a high-profile police raid, and somehow there's no coverage. It doesn't add up. To make matters worse, Kun's publication, African News Global, has barely published anything at all since its launch. 6 stories in total. That's not journalism. That's an occasional mouthpiece, activated when convenient. So should we take his story as credible? Absolutely not. Around the same time, Daily Maverick ran a story questioning whether General Mkhwanazi was really a top cop. Now, let's pause here. Of all the criticisms to make, this one has to be the weakest. Being called a top cop isn't about whether you're the best detective in the room. It's about rank, seniority, and leadership. By that definition alone, Mkhwanazi qualifies. He's led task teams. He's worn the uniform. He's taken on high-profile cases. But in Mkhwanazi's case, it goes beyond titles. He's delivered results. The killers of Sandiso Magaka, behind bars. The killers of a DA counselor, locked up. Katiso himself, arrested. So when critics mock the idea that he's a top cop, it says more about their agenda than about Mkhwanazi's track record. Now, let's talk about the man at the center of many of these stories, Katiso Molefe. Molefe is not some innocent bystander. He's been linked to multiple assassinations, nightclub owners, DJs, taxi bosses. He's allegedly a paymaster for organized hits. He's also tied to the murder of Aman Swart, who died in a mistaken identity killing after being riddled with 23 bullets. The Molefe family has corruption written all over it. So when his niece comes forward claiming she was abused by the task team, we have to ask, what's her motivation? If she really wanted justice, why didn't she use her information to help close in on Katiso? It doesn't add up. What we're seeing is a pattern. Big accusations, no evidence. Smear campaigns work by flooding the public with noise. Repeat a claim enough times and it starts to sound true, even if it isn't. But when you pause, think, and ask for proof, the whole thing falls apart. Let's circle back to the real reason Mkhwanazi is under attack. He's effective. He's delivered results. And that makes him dangerous to corrupt networks who benefit from chaos and impunity. His record speaks for itself. High-profile killers brought to justice, political killings task team delivering results, and a reputation that commands respect, not just inside SAPS, but also in communities across South Africa. That kind of grassroots support is powerful, and it explains why his enemies are so desperate to tear him down. So why is General Mkhwanazi under fire right now? The answer is simple: fear. The reopening of Dockets has sent shockwaves through corrupt networks. They know investigations are closing in, they know accountability is coming, and in their panic, They're scrambling to discredit the man leading the charge. So, where does that leave us? General Mkhwanazi is not perfect. No one is. But the attacks we've seen in recent weeks are not about accountability. They're about survival. They're attempts by corrupt networks to protect themselves, using smear campaigns to turn the public against him. The lack of evidence, the shaky sources, the recycled narratives, they all point to one thing: desperation. And if there's one lesson to take from all this, it's that when powerful people panic, they resort to propaganda. That's all from us here at SA Daily Insight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for thinking critically with us. And as always, stay informed and stay engaged. I'm your host, signing off. Until next time.